So if I stop chasing my wife for affection and sex, am I just giving up on ever having that as part of our marriage again? No, and that's why letting go of pressure doesn't mean letting go of hope. Welcome back to the Secure Husband Podcast. Bruce Abbott, certified professional coach and founder of SecureHusband.com, the podcast where we learn how to stop reacting from pain and start leading from strength. I remember when I was in this same situation, and I hear it over and over with the men that I work with. They're tired. They are tired of always being the one to initiate sex, always being the one to bring up affection, always feeling like they're begging to be wanted. And even though they're trying harder, nothing seems to be working. And then they hear this message to just stop chasing. And this seems counterproductive. And you start wondering, okay, what happens if I just stop chasing? I mean, if I stop asking or stop initiating or stop trying to get her to connect, does that mean I'm giving up on love? Does that mean that I will never have this again in my marriage if I stay married to this woman? Am I giving up on sex? Am I giving up on intimacy? Am I giving up on being chosen again? Here's the thing. The answer to that question is going to be very surprising because you're not giving up on that. You're giving up the wrong strategy. You're not giving up affection. You're giving up chasing. And you shift from chasing to becoming. And that's how you lead yourself out of anxious neediness and into calm, secure strength. Because the reality that most men don't understand, and they have to understand this if they want change, is chasing doesn't create connection, it creates pressure. Because when you're constantly hounding your wife, why don't we have sex anymore? Do you even find me attractive or desirable? Why do I always have to be the one to initiate? Don't you want me anymore? I say those questions because those are exact questions that I asked in my marriage. I have been exactly where you are at. And you think you're being vulnerable. You think you're being honest. You think you're communicating. That's what you always hear. Communication is important in a marriage. But it's how it's done. Because what she feels is emotional weight and pressure and panic and guilt and expectation. And that triggers her nervous system. And instead of opening up, she shuts down even more. So you're stuck in that loop. You chase, she freezes, you panic, she distances, you try harder, she shuts down completely, then you shut down, and eventually you end up here, wondering if the only way to protect yourself is to give up. And again, you don't give up affection. You don't give up sex. You give up how you've been and why you've been chasing. Because it's not just about sex. It's about what sex represents. We're men. Sex represents feeling wanted and chosen and powerful. Makes you feel like a man. Makes you feel like you matter. Sex is very important to men. Sex is very important to women too. A healthy marriage has a sexual component to it. But when she pulls away, it becomes emotional starvation for a man. And it starts triggering all kind of false core beliefs. Okay, if she's not touching me, I must be worthless or unattractive. If she doesn't desire me, I must not be desirable. If I don't initiate, we'll never have sex again. But here's the truth. You're not chasing because you're desperate for sex. You're chasing because you don't know how to feel loved without it. That's the wound, and that's what has to heal. Sex is just a byproduct, and so you notice that. You just notice where you're coming from, and then you get to choose to stop chasing. This is where fear kicks in. Okay, if I stop, won't she just keep drifting further away? Let me be very clear. Again, stopping the chase is not the same as giving up on sex and giving up on your marriage. It's giving up the thing that wasn't working, and it's replacing it with something far more powerful. You're going to stop going passive-aggressive. You're going to stop becoming cold and butthurt and the silent treatment, and you're going to start becoming centered. And you're going to stop trying to get love through pressure. You're going to create space for real connection to grow again, not from fear, but from security. Because when that shifts, the dynamic shifts, and it starts at that emotional core. That healing of the part of you that needed her to validate you. That part of you that didn't start in this marriage, it started long ago. That little boy longing to be seen and chosen and longing to be good enough. Maybe you never got that. So now every time your wife turns away in bed or shrinks when you touch her or says, no, not tonight, that inner boy thinks, I'm being rejected again. I must not be lovable. And for me, that was happening subconsciously. I had no idea that was what was going on. I felt rejected, but I didn't understand why. I just felt like it was my wife. So what do? Because you're trying to get her back, not just physically, but emotionally, if you're being honest. Because if she would just choose you again, it would make that little boy feel safe, but that's not her job. It's yours. So you have to say to that little boy, you are wanted by me, and you're not too much, and you're not unlovable, and you don't need her to prove your worth anymore. And then you connect to divine love, God, the universe, and you let that divine guidance speak to him too. You are worthy. You are already enough. You are loved unconditionally just as you are. You're perfectly imperfect. You are mine and you are safe. And for the first time, you can love without needing it back. And it's a love for yourself, not selfish, not narcissistic, healthy self-love, a self-love that you haven't had before. And it has created that insecurity that's been driving your marriage for so long. And as you heal, you start to create a new energy without chasing, because you stop pressuring and hinting and making her affection the scoreboard. And you show up with warmth and not desperation. You give connection without an agenda. You become emotionally consistent and safe and respect her space while staying engaged and present, because you're not withdrawing. You're not going silent. You're not detaching in this unhealthy way. You're just recentering. And when you stop reaching for her to make you feel better, she feels safer. And I say it over and over again in these podcasts. Safety, emotional safety, and trust is what reignites desire. Not pressure, not manipulation, not performance, not begging, but presence. And you rebuild connection not through control, but through calm, grounded energy. And it's important to have a life where love flows from you, not just to you. And you stop waiting on your wife to give you what you never gave yourself. And that's not just your marriage, it's all parts of your life. You start reconnecting with your mission or strengthening your body. You rebuild friendships with other men, or you pour into your spiritual life. You become emotionally self-sufficient. We talk about it in the context of marriage, but this is really about every element of your life. And you become a man who's not just looking for scraps of affection. You're a man overflowing with love. Love for yourself, and love that you can give with or without her immediate response. Because you're not giving up on intimacy. You're creating conditions where intimacy can actually grow again. And this is hard. It's very counterintuitive, but it's powerful. It requires men to stay open to intimacy without making it the goal, because we keep using it as our scoreboard. We keep using it as our barometer. You stop chasing her body. You start honoring her heart. And that may sound like some greeting card hallmark thought, but what happens is your presence communicates that I'd love to be close again when you're ready, but I'm no longer going to use connection to fill a void. I'm full already, and I want to share that with you when that time is right. Is it 100% guaranteed to work? No. Your wife can make her own decisions. And when you become the secure husband, well, sometimes you may have to make the tough choices. But when you do become secure, most every time I see this, she starts softening again. She starts trusting again. She starts touching again. And you guys reconnect sexually. But this time it's not out of obligation, but it's because she wants to. So you see, you're not giving up on sex and affection and intimacy. You're just creating different conditions for reconnection, stopping what was killing it in the first place. Stopping the chase. Stopping the chase is not giving up. It's just giving up the old version of you, the old way that you did things that wasn't working. And you're giving up the man who needed her validation to make you feel whole. And when you do the healing, that old part of you starts to die off, and a new man is born. He leads with calm and confidence and fullness. He's able to love. He loves himself so much and has overflow to give to his wife and others. He brings safety, not stress and pressure. And it makes room for affection to grow again through trust and not pressure and manipulation. So you're not losing hope. You're actually reclaiming power. You're becoming a secure husband. So stop chasing. I hope this podcast has been helpful for you. If so, please give me a review, hit that subscribe button for more Secure Husband episodes. Share this episode with someone who you think may need to hear this. Visit securehusband.com for more resources and to book one-on-one coaching with me. And I'll see you again on the next Secure Husband podcast. Thanks for listening.